I'm Cyndi Coon. As Agnes mentioned, I'm an applied futurist and a creative, and that means I merge social science data with creative endeavors. So my practices are called threatcasting and futurecasting. I have a lab 2 hours west from here called the Applied Futures Lab. I have a threatcasting lab at Arizona State University in Phoenix and threatcasting.ai in Austin. So I'm going to walk you through what we did with the youth who participated in the AI data science STEAM team. Before I do that, though, I just want to tell you how they came really quickly into working on this project over the summer. We started together on January 4th in a boot camp, did some AI, and then over the next 3 or 4 months, I ran sprints that were 4-week sprints so that all the youth who wanted to could cycle through those sprints. We were not overly focusing on the AI as the tool. We were focusing on AI mindset and what it means to look at your data, be it analog or digital, first. So as a human being, what are you looking at before you ever go near AI? So I want you to keep that in mind, because the training that these folks received prior to even stepping into this project I'm going to share now in June, they went through a series of really understanding we don't step into AI if we don't have anything to bring. It requires data. It requires you to have something to carry into it to then collaborate. So carry that with you, knowing that a lot of the work we did was on tables with markers and paper and all kinds of things first. Then we moved to the digital. So what that really allowed is this human-centric approach to first thinking about what could we use this for? What would be the benefit in our lives? Just to reiterate what Mary said, AI is already here. It's here. It's not going anywhere. So the best thing we can do is look at our youth and say, what makes sense for you? You don't push AI on them. You don't say you should do this or you shouldn't do this. You should collaborate. And so the idea here is, what is our connection? What is our collaboration? AI should be treated as a partner. It has nothing above us. It's a tool, just like any other tool. So I, as a futurist, will drive you crazy with my hopeful, optimistic positivity. I will. And here's why. I've been doing this long enough to know things go in waves, good things, bad things. Things happen, things occur. That said, everything, and I mean everything, every problem, it's caused by humans. However, every solution, it's humans. There's no solution in technology. There's no solution anywhere else. The solution comes from us as human beings coming together and making those decisions about the solutions together for the future. And that's really important that we keep that in mind in AI, because it's us. So the students who participated came from all over northern New Mexico. You can see their pins there on the communities that they came from to participate in this program. We merged this program, which we called Voices of New Mexico, where the youth decided individually each what concern, issue, challenge did they care about? What matters to them first? Then, once they made the decision about that, we walked into the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and had each student pair their important topic with a global sustainability goal. All right, so I'm going to jump into the creative part of what we did. So once we had that topic, we had our SDGs, then the students learned how to create questions. They learned how to write and form questions that could get them interesting, unique, and useful data to work with. So once those questions were formed, they then went out to their own communities and they interviewed their community members about this topic that they cared about to see what else are other folks thinking about my same issues and concerns. Then the play came. Then we got to take the data of the transcriptions, the partnering with the SDGs, and the students began to then partner with generative AI to create prototypes. So they created things using AI such as apps, custom bots, campaigns, things that they could use to express how might they create a solution around this local concern. They prototyped because our end goal was not by this day, this Sunday, to get them to have functioning apps. The goal was to get them to use AI to understand all of the parts and pieces, and so all of them have outcomes that are ready to go, that could go right into development. So that was the idea with prototyping. And so they did a whole variety around that. This is my slide where I want to say something really important about what all of us who are interested and engaged in AI hopefully will have in our mindsets. So a really big part of the work that we've done since January and all summer long with the 7 who chose to work on the Voices of New Mexico is around mindset. So future AI mindset is not only important for your personal practice and how you might engage and your questions and your considerations around AI. It's also about working with the youth so that they have healthy skepticism too. They have questions, they have concerns, promoting that, supporting them and feeling those feelings. And then, here's the biggest picture about where we're at in this moment in time in the world with AI. The minute you engage just a tiny bit and you learn just a little bit and you see that it didn't blow up your computer or your house or your life and you're still here, there is a tidal wave coming. There is. It's coming. It's big. It's AI. We don't know what it's all going to fold out like. But my goal with working with the youth was to make sure that they truly are ambassadors who can say, hey, how can I help you? I learned this much, because nobody's an expert yet. Don't let them fool you. All the models change every week, so everybody's doing their best. But the idea here is, how can they go out into the world and carry that mindset of, I've touched AI, I've created with AI, I have some level of experience, and therefore, how can I help you? That's the real focus of what we're trying to get to here. And just Thursday, the youth spoke at the United Nations Science Summit, which was recorded, and each one of them spoke about the project that they created for their community. It's about an hour-and-a-half long program, and it's truly awesome, and you're going to see a clip from one of those students today. I'm gonna skip that, I'm gonna try to go faster here. And then also to let you know that the program is producing a book about all of the work that the students did, and that will be out in October. And you can find Agnes in October about that, but that's coming soon. Okay, so you're gonna see and hear a little bit more about the project, and hopefully their faces show up on this video.
Hi there, my name is Feliciana Medjo Gonzalez, and I am from Varito, New Mexico, and this is going to be my 4th year working with STEMarts.
Great. Okay, I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you today. The first one being, what has been your experience being a part of the STEMarts Voices of New Mexico Futures AI project?
It has been really, really incredible and really, really eye-opening for me. Um, I just found it really awesome to be able to talk to my community members and really hear what they had to say about issues that I feel like we've all noticed here. It also felt really validating for both me and the other community members to be like, wow, it's not just me that's experiencing this. It's not just my family. It's all of us. And I really, really enjoyed creating this project, or creating the output for this project, because as I said, I worked with STEMarts for nearly 4 years, and this project really felt like I was using a lot of what I had learned. I was combining like my passion for community and science and AI and technology and art that I had all learned during STEMarts.
So you talked a little bit about how it affected like your community and everything. Can you talk a little bit about how it shaped what you think about your life in science, art, and community, and into the future as well?
Yeah, so I think this project really reiterated to me that science, art, and communities really aren't separate things. They're really interconnected, and yeah, I would even say they're like three strands of the same braid. To solve a problem, which in my case was our issue of food deserts in rural northern New Mexico, you need scientific research, artistic creativity to be able to imagine these new solutions, but as well as that, also the wisdom of the community itself. In the future, I really see myself using this mindset in all my work, really making sure that, because as I said, they're all interconnected. It's not like they're separate things, and I really want to bring that with me into future projects and for the rest of my life.
I love that answer so much. Would you mind sharing a story about someone that you chose to interview in your community?
Yeah. So one thing was that a lot of the interviews that I spoke with, a lot of them really agreed that there was an issue with not being able to get food and the distance to be able to get healthy food. But one thing that one interview that really stood out to me was one I actually had with a community member um, named Alessandra Ogren, who specifically who instead of talking about it so much as a problem, she more talked about it as something like that we could build upon. And she also mentioned about how, although this is a problem, she's also noticed that we are abundant in resources, and and like that she gets lots of trade from to get healthy foods and from our community. And so that it's just an issue of getting those resources to the people. And that really made me think about my whole project in a whole new light.
Or meaningful insights that you heard during your interviews?
In another interview I had, one of the community members pointed out that the issue isn't a lack of food, but it's the quality of the food that is available. And, I'd always thought about food deserts in terms of accessibility and quantity, but especially with these interviews, it helped me realize that it's about health and nutritional value that is also a big part of the problem, um, as well as shame. Like, That was another thing that I hadn't even considered, was the fact that and I mean, I've experienced this myself, that it's really difficult to be able to ask for help and say, yeah, I do need support in getting the food I need. And so one of my biggest things was this with this project was I wanted to try to figure out a way that people could get the resources they need without feeling shameful for not being able to get those resources without support.
So you talked a little bit about your project. Can you go more in depth, like tell us about the prototype and the creative solution that you designed and what problem, well, you kind of talked about what problem you were addressing, but if you also want to expand on that more.
So my prototype was I actually came up with two prototypes. One of them was a community share fridge that would be paired with a simple app. So the fridge would allows like public space where people can put in excess food, whether it's from their gardens, leftovers from uh, restaurants. Because one of the biggest things that I noticed was that it wasn't that we didn't have food, it was that a lot of the food was going to waste and it wasn't getting to the people who could need it. And so this would combat it. The app that would be paired with it, it would be used to make sure that the food wasn't going moldy, and if it was, we could know which ones was over the expiration date and throw them out. As well as this, it would also be able to show community members what was in the fridge and if they wanted to go get the food. Um, I created a map of my community, and I put little pinpoints where I thought putting fridges would be a really good spot. And with the paired app, I forgot to mention, with the paired app with the fridges, it would also show where the nearest fridge would be.
That sounds really awesome. How did you use generative AI tools to help you like imagine or build your prototype differently from what you might have otherwise?
Well, AI was a really powerful partner. I used it really to brainstorm ideas and help me sift through all of the interviews I did with community members and find what I could do with them. One of the biggest things that it helped me with actually was creating the prototype app for the community cafeteria. It also helped me figure out the ins and outs of how everything would work. Um, yeah, it was really really incredible to be able to work with AI and um, figure out how we could use it for social good.
So, which SDG did you connect your project to, and how did you make that important connection?
Yes. So mine was directly connected to the goal number two, zero hunger, as well as zero waste. I made these two connections because, as I said, I really want to make ensure that food is healthy, local, and affordable. And right now, in many communities with food deserts, there is a lot of hunger, and there is not, and the food that is local is not healthy and it is not affordable. And so the whole point of this was that I wanted to figure out a way to feed communities in a way that is sustainable and equitable, um, but also is not, there's not stigma with it.
And then I also wanted to ask, what do you think in generative AI, like what was the most useful for a project like this? And did you find any challenges or limits with the AI tools? How did you work with them to your advantage?
Yeah. So, I think generative AI was most useful for creating ideas, and also really getting my point across. As well as this, it really helped me with creating the app because I wouldn't even know where to start of how to create the app. It really helped me brainstorm possibilities that I never even considered. And also I had a lot of ideas, but I didn't know how to articulate them in a way that made sense. For example, when I was working on the fridge poster, I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to do. And so when I kind of just talked about what I wanted to do, AI was able to be like, "Oh, okay, I understand that you're saying this and this and this. I think those are really good ideas. How about we do it like this?" And that really helped me refine and polish my creative vision.
In what way do you feel more prepared to shape or guide your future collaborations with AI because of this experience?
Um, yeah. So a mindset that I've had has kind of shifted. Um, from seeing AI as something as a novelty or like something that looks cool or just in general, but now I really see it as a powerful and practical tool that can be used alongside anybody to help them figure out what they need to do, and really a good force for positive change. um, I've really learned that you can be in control of the collaboration with AI, um, but it can also really help you to achieve the goals that you're trying to get at. Um, it's not really about AI having the answer, but it's about how you use it to ask better questions and build more like meaningful solutions to those questions. It's kind of a partnership. It's working together. Um, it's not necessarily having AI do it all for you. It's about thinking of how can I have AI understand this? How can I tweak this to make this go more in the direction that I want? It's yeah, as I said, it's a partnership.
Okay, Ken, do you want to start with an introduction?
Yeah. I'm Kendan, and I'm from Hemispildo.
And what's your current position at STEMarts?
I'm I'm a ambassador of STEMarts, and I'm with the AI and data.
So, what has been your experience being a part of the STEMarts Voices of New Mexico Futures AI project?
That's a great question. Honestly, this project has been really exciting and an eye-opening for me because I never thought I'd be part of something that connects New Mexico students to global conversations. And I learned how science, art, and technology can work together in powerful ways. Uh, makes me proud is that it wasn't just doing this for myself. I got to represent my community and share our voices.
So, how has this experience shaped the way you think about your life in science, art, and community now and into the future?
I really like this question. Before this project, I thought science and art were two separate things, but now I see that they actually make each other stronger when combined. It also made me realize I'm not just a student or an athlete. I can use creativity and technology to help my community. That's something I want to carry with me into the future.
Can you share a story about someone that you interviewed throughout this project?
Yeah. So one of my interviews was with Farisa. She talked about how rural youth don't always have access to resources, but the community makes up for it through support like fundraisers and volunteering. And I also interviewed Arno, who spoke about the same challenges, but also about hope for better opportunities. Both of them showed me how resilient our community really is.
What do you think was one of the most like meaningful or surprising things that you heard throughout your interviews?
That's a good one. I was surprised by how much people value community support systems instead of only focusing on struggles. They talk about hope and resilience. It made me realize that even small acts of support can make a big difference, and especially in rural places like ours.
And how did listening to the voices in your community change your understanding of the issue that you were focusing on?
Honestly, it changed everything. Listening to their voices made me realize that issue is bigger than just my perspective. It's not just about science or technology. It's also about listening to people and making sure their voices are included in solutions.
Can you now tell us a little bit about your creative solution or like your prototype and what problem specifically you were addressing?
That's a fun one to answer. I designed a pollinator garden kit with an AI powered climate companion. I wanted to tackle the issue of climate change hurting gardens and biodiversity here in New Mexico, especially with drought and pollinator loss. The kit is hands on, but the digital guide makes it interactive and educational for the community.
So how did you use like generative AI tools to like help you imagine or build your prototype differently than you might have otherwise?
That's a great point. AI really helped me visualize my ideas faster and gave me creative options I wouldn't have thought of on my own. Using P5.js made the project more interactivity and showed me that the design can be both physical and digital.
And do you want to share a little bit about what SCG you chose and how you made the connection important between your project and that?
Connected it with SDG 13, the climate action, and SDG 15, life on land. It felt natural because climate change and pollinator loss are tied to both. For me, it was about making those global goals feel real and hands-on in our local community.
So you've talked about a lot about how your prototype works within like the local community. How do you think that it could play a role globally?
That's another really good question. What's happening here in New Mexico with drought and pollinator loss is always happening around the world. It made me realize that local solutions connect to global challenges like food security and ecosystem protection.
And what do you think has been generative AI's like most useful um like task throughout this like connection?
In my opinion, AI is most useful for turning complex ideas into visual people can understand. It also speeds up the process, and which it helps for student like me. It gives us a way to bring our ideas to life quicker and more creatively.
Did you find any challenges working with the AI tools? And if you did you use them to your advantage at all and how?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes AI gave results that were random and or doesn't make sense to me, but instead of getting stuck, I learned how to guide AI more carefully and combine it with my own creativity.
How has your future AI mindset changed since you started this project?
That's a good reflection question. At first, I wasn't sure about AI and what it could do, but now I feel more curious and open. I see it as a tool to empower people and communities instead of something to be afraid of. That mindset shift really excites me.
And in what ways do you feel more prepared to shape or guide your future collaborations with AI because of this experience?
I would say I feel more prepared because I've learned how to ask better questions and use AI responsibly. And now I know how to balance my own creativity and with technology that gives me confidence to work on future projects where youth voices and AI innovation can come together to create change.
Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. We've got another video to show you. Here we go.
I'm Cyndi Coon, project designer and facilitator of the Voices of New Mexico project, part of the STEMarts Futures AI Data Science STEAM team. In January 2025, a group of brave and curious students stepped into a boot camp to explore artificial intelligence and data science. But we weren't just learning about tech. We were starting a deeper journey, where technology, creativity, and lived experience meet to imagine the future. Each student chose a topic they cared about: education access, zero hunger, cultural preservation, and more. Then connected it to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. They designed custom interview questions, gathered stories from their communities, and used one of those conversations to spark an AI-assisted solution. Generative AI became their creative partner as they prototyped tools, apps, bots, and campaigns. Practical, imaginative responses to real needs. Funded by the McGovern Foundation, their work will be published and presented this fall at the United Nations Science Summit. We didn't set out to give answers. We set out to unlock big, bold questions that lead towards more just, joyful, and resilient futures.
All right, with that, I thank you. That is our Voices of New Mexico project that the youth did this summer.